Welcome to Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, prescribed by Dr. Harrison. All right, I got a short, fun one for you. This is more for parents who have younger kids, kids who still have bedtime stories. My kids are still under the age of 10, so we try to read them a bedtime story every night. Now, normally the youngest one, who's going to turn 4 at the end of summer here, he passes out within like 10 minutes. But the older two, they stay up and they want to listen to the full story. And we were using this series of books called Humphrey. It's about this small like hamster that lives with a frog inside of a classroom, and he has all these adventures. But they were quick, short little chapters, and each chapter was kind of its own mini story of the day with its own plot twist and, crescendo, and it worked great. But we finished all of the Humphrey books, and we didn't have any more. And so we thought to ourselves, all right, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get another book for them, or at least, see if there are any other series or maybe even some more Humphreys. So I took myself to Target with the boys, and as we're looking around in the kids' book section, I saw the book A Wrinkle in Time. Now, they made the movie about it. It's the one with Oprah's in it, and it's got 3 witches, and I saw the trailer for the movie, never saw the movie, and they always say the book's better than the movie. And I thought, this would be really cool. It's got a lot of imagination, creativity, makes them kind of think about things and the possibilities, and this would be awesome. Well, the book's really good. I'm not going to lie. However, the chapters are anywhere from 25 to 35 pages long. And story time is usually supposed to only be about 15, 20 minutes. So, you put that together, 25, 35 pages long. If you're reading slow or they're asking questions, next thing you know, you've been doing story time for an hour. Defeats the whole purpose, especially when the older two are staying up to hear until the end of the chapter. So I was trying to figure out a way how to get out of reading the rest of that book every single night. Now I'll go to it, every 3 or 4 nights, or my wife will read it sometimes. But I just didn't want to read 28 pages in a chapter. I mean, you can call it selfish, but I had stuff to do. It's time for them to go to bed, right? So I kept thinking, well, what should I do? And I was, at one point when they were younger, I would make up stories for them. And they were the common stories, 3 Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, Goldilocks, the things that we all know growing up, Humpty Dumpty. But those ran out quick. And then I started making up stories of my own. And I was doing really well at first, but then, all my plots kind of just left. I didn't have any more. I had writer's block or storyteller's block for little kids. My stories are usually more geared towards adults or teenagers. So the other night, and here's what I'm getting to. That's a long-winded way of getting to where I'm getting. The other night, I thought to myself, what if I just tell them a story of something I've already seen, like a kid's movie? And bingo, big idea. Now, there may be parents who are already doing this. This was new for me. We tell stories and we tend to tell them with our own experiences and things that we've seen. And so usually something mixes in there anyways. But this was such an easy way to tell a story, to add my own components to it, change the characters, because I already had the plot laid out. So the first story I told them was Space Jam. Talked about aliens stealing powers from NBA players and then having to go into another world, off into another planet, and play back for their powers and to save another planet. The next one that I told them about was basically any football movie you've ever seen about the team that wasn't expected to win against the dominant team, and then they figured out a way to win the game at the last second with the quarterback jumping over, getting hit and flipped and land in the end zone. And now I've got it all lined up. I'm going to tell them about Rudy, that movie. I'm going to tell them about Little Giants, Home Alone, The Goonies, maybe even Indiana Jones. Now, at some point, I'll probably let them see the movies if they're even out anymore. I remember once I told some of my football players, oh, you got to go rent the movie The Program. It's one of the best football movies ever. And they just looked at me like, rent? Where do we rent a movie, coach? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. There's no more Blockbuster, right? So if you can't find those movies, great, whatever. I will probably try to show them to the kids at some point. But for the time being, I'm going to use those movies as my stories for bedtime. And you know what happened when I told them the Space Jam and the football story? Total excitement. Now, you might say, well, that kind of backfired on you. They didn't fall asleep. Well, the older two didn't fall asleep ever when we read the book because they wanted to stay up and hear the story. The youngest passed out, so stayed the same. I was able to be super creative. The kids were super excited, and they stayed in their beds after I was done with the story, and they discussed the story amongst themselves until they fell asleep. And they also thought how cool it was that Dad was telling them this great story. How cool is that? So maybe you've already got this down. This was something new for me, so I figured I'd share it to everyone else. So try it. That's Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. Don't forget to hashtag Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, hashtag 4D, all social media at RebirthBX. Check out the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. Hit up the website, rebirthbx.com. I'll get back to you guys tomorrow. Sweet dreams.